It's a great honor and a privilege to introduce Veronica. Veronica, what is your name, your surname, your family name?
My family name is Phillips.
Phillips.
Veronica Phillips.
And you were born, it's such an honor and a privilege to speak to you, Veronica.
Oh,
It really is. You were born in Budapest, in Hungary.
Budapest in 1926. I was born when the Germans started killing the Jews.
Sure. And you remember Budapest?
I remember when it happened.
And your family lived in the Jewish quarter of Budapest? Do you remember where they lived?
No, it wasn't a Jewish quarter. It wasn't a ghetto. You lived where a lot of Jews lived.
Yeah, but that's,
But you know, the Jews usually lives around like a ghetto because there is a shul, you can walk to the shul. And my grandmother was from Galicia, and she was a very religious woman. She came from Galicia, she didn't speak a word of Hungarian, and she came with her sister and her sister's child and her children, and she made a living to brought up all these kids.
How many brothers and sisters, siblings did you have?
I only had one brother, and unfortunately he passed away.
Wow. Now, can I just ask, do you remember when the war broke out? Do you remember?
Of course I remember. And my whole family was taken to forced labor.
Was this in Hungary?
In Hungary.
Was it in the middle of the war or near the end of the war?
It was the beginning of the war. They started because, you know, Hungarians were cooperating with the Germans. Everybody was cooperating with the Germans. What can I tell you?
And can we hear your story? What happened? How did you, thank God, how did you manage to survive?
Well, I didn't manage. They took me with my father. They collected us because the Swiss gave a Schutzpass. You know what that means. And with that Schutzpass, we were living in places where they collected people with the Schutzpass. And the Arrow Cross came,
That was
and
the...
they tear away the Schutzpass, threw us down onto the ground, and they collected us, and they took the men in a separate row, and the women and the children were separate. But I was now 18 years old, and I went with my father. And my father, you know, they take the men separate. My father never came back. They killed him. I tried to find out where and how for the your side. I couldn't find it.
That was the last time you ever saw him?
That's right.
And with your mother, when did you...
My mother was alive when I came back from the camp. I find my mother and my brother. And when we came from the camp, it was from one fire into another. Because when we came back, it was the communists. All Jews, the communists.
In Hungary?
In Hungary. They were trained in Russia. They came back. And just as good as in the camp.
And let me ask, the camps that you went to, were these camps in Hungary, or did they send you to Poland?
No. I went to Ravensbrück. They took me to Ravensbrück. And we stayed in Ravensbrück for a couple of days. And then we were queuing up in front of the gas chambers.
Aye.
Because you could smell.
The
flesh was burning. And then all of a sudden, somebody came and they wanted 140 women workers. And I was one of them with my two cousins, because I spoke German. And I said, you know, they also speak German. And they took us to Panic, to an aeroplane factory.
Where was this? In
Germany.
In Germany.
Because I don't know if you know the map. the triangle, Chemnitz, Leipzig,
Yeah.
and Dresden. And when we went to work early in the morning, we could see Dresden burning via Licht. You know, as I'm telling you, it's in front of me. What else do you want to know?
And when you came back, your mother, thank God, had survived, and your brother as well?
Yes, they've been taken to the ghetto
In Budapest?
in Budapest. And January, they were liberated by the Russians. So when I was still in the camp, they were already free to live with all these memories.
It must be very, very, every day must be a terrible, terrible pain.
You can never forget it.
Why, Veronica,
But
thank you so
that
much.
must have a plan with me that I'm still here and tell the story.
Thank God. And we must never forget. We must never forget.
You can't even say never forget because it's written in my brain.
Wow, Veronica.
I'm sorry, I can't tell you.
Okay. And Veronica, can I just ask, when you went to Israel, because you mentioned tonight that you were in Israel.
I used to go to Israel every single year when they let us go, because they didn't let us go. Then, you know, after the revolution in Hungary in 1956, I don't know if you remember.
I remember. No, I don't remember, but I learned, and I know about the revolution
I
in
tell
56.
you, then we went to England.
You left Hungary in 56.
I left Hungary. They can brennen via Licht. Do you speak Yiddish?
I understand Yiddish, sure, they can burn, they can...
They can burn like a light.
Yeah. And have you ever been back to Hungary?
Yes.
Was it very difficult going back? Was it very traumatic?
But I had one of my cousins who was with me in the camp. And they went to Israel. And the older cousin had a heart attack and she died there.
Right.
So they had to bring her back in 3 coffins to bury her in Hungary. So I went to visit my cousin because she didn't have anybody else. She also died in a terrible way. She had cancer.
Right.
You speak Yiddish?
I understand. Wow.
I can tell you a story. Anyway, you can find me through the Holocaust Center. They have my email, everything. So if you want to find out more.
And Veronica, can I ask, how young are you? How young are you?
I am the same age as the Queen.
Well, Baruch Hashem, thank God. You should just have many years at Me'aveh stream of gesund, of health, and mazel and bracha.
You know, as they say, you can have your cycle, but not your body.
Yeah.
Or you can have your body, but not the cycle. I have the cycle, but not the body.
Well, Baruch Hashem, you're here tonight, and you're walking, and you look in good health, and you should just have very good health at Me'aveh stream, and just mazel and bracha. And Veronica, and thank you so much for sharing this very hard, your life story, which is extremely hard, but we appreciate it.
Thank you.
And it's important that the next generations will know and never forget, and that it should not be repeated.
Because it's nothing what you read in the book, and it's different when you hear it from somebody.
Absolutely. It's a great honor and a privilege to have met you, Veronica, and thank you very, very much. And just seid gesund and bleibt gesund.
Oh, mine. Your voice to Hashem.